Surprisingly enough, the majority of the countries of the world are actually undeveloped. There's literally a third of the amount of developed countries compared to the number of undeveloped countries. There are some factors that come into play when understanding what exactly an undeveloped country is and what a developing country is. A developed country is a country that is industrialized, that has a thriving economy, normally will have a democratic government or a fair ruling government. When observing a map on the location of where developed countries are compared to undeveloped countries, we can come to the conclusion that developed countries are usually clustered together around the same areas. When we look at undeveloped countries, they're usually clustered together too around the same areas. For example, USA and Canada, two very developed countries, and they're right next to each other, dominating North America. When we look at Europe, basically all the countries are developed, and they are all clustered together. When looking at the undeveloped countries in the Middle East, Africa, South America, and Southern Asia, you can see that they're all clustered together. Geographically, if some countries don't have the proper resources for a thriving economy, their economy won't thrive. Some parts of the earth just aren't for humans. Like, how can a human live in the desert? It'd be challenging. An interesting statistic about developing countries compared to developed countries is their infant mortality rate. When looking at this scatter graph, we can see that countries with lower birth rates have a lower infant mortality rate. But when we look at the countries with a higher birth rate, their infant mortality rate is also higher. Political and social affairs within a nation are often because of a corrupt ruler. When looking at the history of undeveloped nations, we can see that a nation with a corrupt ruler often has an unfair economy. An economy where it's hard for business to thrive based on restraints that the government puts on people. Probably the most important factor to a developing nation compared to a developed nation is the economy. In order for a country to industrialize, it needs to have a thriving economy and a constant growing economy. Population statistics explain a lot between the difference of a developed country and a developing country as well. When looking at the population pyramid of a developing country, we can see that as age increases, the percentage of people in the age group for that given country decreases. So in the younger age groups, there will be the most citizens compared to the entire population. And at the highest age group, that is where the least number of citizens will be. When we look at the developed countries' population pyramid, we can see that it's pretty much equal throughout all age groups until we get to the more elderly ages for the percent of people in that age group for the given population of the developed country. So this is like USA, Canada, European countries, Australia, those countries.